Hey guys, what's going on? It's Brew here from Elite Brew TV, a super big brew fist to you all. And today we're going to be talking about a subject which I know very, very well, Mythic Plus dungeons, particularly around the aspect of pugging dungeons, getting into those dungeons. On my stream, one of the main things that we do is I will take people through their weekly 15s chest. We do a lot of community driven Mythic Plus, and one issue that comes up time after time after time, and why people come to my stream and various other streams to do keys with the streamer and within those communities, is because they say, Brew, I just can't get accepted into those dungeons. I'm signing up and no one will accept me. So these are my top 10 tips on what you should be doing to get into dungeons and things you should be doing once you do get accepted, so then you get invited back to do more. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so first off on the list, we're going to start with ones that are actually going to help you to get into the group. And first off, I need you to understand that, number one, there is a meta. A meta exists, and you need to understand where you fit into it. So what do I mean by that? In every season of the expansion, there's going to be certain classes which excel at the high end. So when you are in the pugging environment, people who are looking to take people into their group, they look at the classes which are considered the best and will only go for them. And if your class is considered not to be the best, you are really going to struggle when it comes to getting into those groups. You need to understand that. So if you understand that, you're not going to waste a shed load of time trying to get into those dungeons, because this is very time consuming. The last thing I want you to be doing is trawling through the dungeon finder, trying to get into those groups and keep getting declined. So what do you need to do? Well, that leads me on to point number 2. Okay, so number 2 on the list is going to be make friends with people. Believe me, this does not happen anywhere near as much as it should do, and it infuriates me. Nobody talks in pugs anymore. I don't know why, but Season 1 of a new expansion is the perfect time to make friends with people. There are a lot of returning players who've been away from the game for a long time. A lot of people didn't play BFA and now are coming back and they want to make friends. So if you're doing normal dungeons, heroic dungeons, or even if you do a Mythic Plus dungeon and you find that the person was really good at tanking, the healing was great, the damage was insane, or they was just fun to be around, at the end of the dungeon, turn around to that person and say, hey, can I add you to my friends list? And if you was also good in that dungeon, no doubt they'll say yes, and now you're on your way to building a list of friends, of people that you can call on when you want to do Mythic Plus dungeons. And taking into account what I said in the previous point, if your class is not part of the top meta on what people are looking to take, you need to have that long list of people so you can quickly form groups. Okay guys, so number 3 on the list is kind of an extension on point number 2, which I said was make friends and add people. Number 3 is going to be join a community. I mean a out of game community. There are in-game communities which I'm sure are very good, but the ones that I think are particularly effective are the out of game communities like Discord. The reason being is because there are various channels on Discord, and there will be like meme channels, general channels, whatever, and it means that you're going to get to know people on a much more personal basis, meaning the friendships will be better, therefore people will want to play with you more because you've got to know them out of game as well as in. It's all about making friends and having fun, remember. So do that. Feel free to join my Discord. The link is in the description below. We are constantly running Mythic Plus dungeons even when I'm not streaming. So yeah, make friends with people. Try and join as many communities as you can, especially the Discord ones. Okay guys, so number 4 on the list isn't one so much to get you into a dungeon straight away, but it is something that you should do when you are in dungeons to make sure you get into them going forward, and that is don't be toxic. Don't be toxic when you are in dungeons. If things aren't going the right way, or the key gets depleted because someone's pulled a trash pack which didn't need to be pulled, don't start flaming them. I know it's very difficult to do so. I've been there myself, and I'd be lying to you to say if I'd never done it. Screw that guy. Screw him.
Get him out of here.
But generally, it doesn't need to be done. Okay, that person knows that they messed up. They know that they've done something wrong. We don't know what happened. Maybe their cat jumped on their keyboard, or they had to take an important phone call, or God knows what. I mean, when you get into the level of 15 plus, it can be one small mistake and it's cost you the dungeon. It's easy then to flame that person. So I'm not saying be nice, because that might not be in your character do so. So what I'm saying is just don't start flaming, don't be toxic. And I think for your own sanity as well, it will make you feel better, okay? So when you are in that position, you don't want to get into an argument with someone. It will help you, it will stop you from not getting tilted. It will allow you then to just move quickly on to the next one when you are farming this Raider IO or gear or whatever it is, the reason why you were in Mythic Plus in the first place. Okay guys, so number 5 on the list, and we are halfway there, is be good. Be good at the game. Yes, that may come as a shock to you, but if you are not good at the game, people will not want to play with you. You will find it hard to get into groups. But also, if you are not good at the game, the chances of you timing the keys that you are in is diminished. Therefore, you will time less keys. Therefore, you will not boost your Raider IO score, and then you will not get invited into keys, because as the season progresses, your score is still considered relatively low. So, what do I mean by be good? There are certain expectations as you progress in Mythic Plus, okay? So if you are doing content which is considered relatively low, then the expectation on you as a player is relatively low. A lot of the time you can just plow through the dungeon, you can just face tank everything, not kick things, not do mechanics, and you'll kind of get away. As you get into that 10 barrier, there is a new expectation which is on players. You need to deal with the seasonal affix. Then as you progress further into 15 plus, generally at that point you cannot get away with not doing mechanics. You are expected to know those mechanics. You are expected to know the route. You are expected to know your class. This is what I'm saying, you need to be good. There are various ways that you can do this, okay? There are 8 new dungeons in Shadowlands. Do your homework on them, read a Wowhead guide, watch some YouTube videos. I will be putting out some videos myself about all the things that I'm talking about on this video. At the moment it's just a bit of a brief overview on 10 tips on things that I can help you with. I will elaborate more on them. But when it comes to the dungeons, look them up. You need to know the trash abilities, you need to know the boss abilities, you need to have an add-on, mythic dungeon tools, okay? Know your weekly route. You need to go out of your way to try and learn as you progress. That's the only way you can do it, as well as experience. But in the early days, there is going to be no experience because you haven't got it yet. So you need to go out of your way to learn how to be good. That is, know your route, know the trash, know the bosses, know your own classes, know your rotations, know your utility, know what kind of healer's healing you, know what kind of tank you are tanking with. You know, play to your classes and your party members' abilities and your strengths, and know the weaknesses. That is the definition for me anyway. And if I've missed something out, let me know, comments down below, on what it means to be a good player. You can do that. That is in your realm. I'm not saying be top 10, top 100 player in the world. These are simple things that once you start doing them, you will be considered good, okay? World of Warcraft is evolving. You only need to look at raids now to see how elaborate they are, okay? And the same has transferred into Mythic Plus now. The trash abilities, the bosses are very intricate. There is a lot of information going on. Get yourself some good weak auras, get yourself a good LVUI. Be able to see what is going on in the dungeon around you. That will make you a good player. If you need any of these things, LVUI, weak auras, add-ons, head over to my Discord. I'll hook you up. But yeah, be good. Okay guys, so number 6 on the list is going to be Raider.io. Raider.io is a third-party website which tracks all of Mythic Plus dungeons and will give you a score at the end of that dungeon. So for example, if you do a Mythic Plus Keystone level 10, you'll get approximately 100 points to your Raider.io. If there are 8 dungeons and you then have completed all 10s, you will have approximately around, give or take, 800 Raider.io score. Okay, so then this score is available for everyone to see who is using the add-on. then they will decide whether or not, based on this score, and this is generally how it works, I'm afraid to say, based on the score, whether or not they want to take you to the group. So what can you be doing to actually boost that score? Well, the main thing that you should be doing is looking ahead and planning properly for the push weeks. A push week is a week where basically the affixes are considered probably easier than other weeks. So this is where you'll spend a lot of time trying to do the hardest content that week, because that 1 week in the whole affix rotation, if you get all your score, then that will carry you throughout getting, you may never beat that score again. So that's why it's super important to plan for the push weeks, boost the score, and try and get as high Raider IO as you can if you are trying to push the content. If you're happy doing content which you already have the score for, then fine. But if you're trying to get into higher, then that score needs to go higher with you. Seems pretty obvious, right? Okay, so next, let's get into. Okay guys, so number 7 on the list is your Covenant abilities. This may seem a bit odd me putting it in here as tips on how to get into Mythic Plus, or tips whilst in Mythic Plus, but just wait. Why I'm putting it in is because, like I said, in number 1, there is a meta that now also exists when it comes to Covenant abilities. And don't get me wrong, I want you to play what is best for you, whatever is most fun for you. Do that, okay? Trust me, don't just play the best thing because someone considers it to be the best thing. But that said, do your research, okay? Research it, what is going to be best for your character, and then see if that is something that tickles your pickle, okay? I mean, you might just be like, okay, listen, dude, I'm playing Venthyr no matter what, okay? Sweet, okay, fair enough. But if that is the choice that you're going to make, remember that might not be the best for your character, okay? So there is now a meta when it comes to Covenant abilities and synergizing with particular classes. I've seen it on the beta when they are advertising for certain classes that they want to come into a dungeon. They are now also specifying particular covenants that they would like it to go with, okay? So just something else to bear in mind. Okay guys, so number 8 is a very important one and something that gets forgotten about in the plugin world, and it is communicate. People don't communicate enough. There are so many things that you can say during a dungeon, before the dungeon, that will immensely help the success of the dungeon. But not only that, it will help you get into more groups down the line because people will think that you're a good player. It also helps whilst you are trying to form groups, you know, while you're looking through the dungeon finder. Feel free to message the party leader of that dungeon. Again, communicate. What did I say earlier on? Join those communities, Discord communities. Communicate with people. That will help you getting into groups. Communicate during the dungeon. That will help the success of the dungeon. For example, I don't know, like, let's talk from a tank perspective. You know, I always like to talk to my healer on a Taldazar to say, okay, you give me a defensive on Razan's first bleed. Then I know that I need to sort out the next one. Really simple things, but they immensely help the success of the dungeon. And those little things accumulatively, consistently, will help you time those keys. Okay guys, so point number 9, and we are almost there. This is the best piece of advice that I can give you. I cannot give you any better advice to get you into those groups than to make your own group. So I'm assuming now that you've done a Mythic Plus from the previous week and you have a key in your bag just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. Make a group. Make your own group and advertise on the Dungeon Finder. Now I know it might seem a little bit daunting at first if you have never done it. But honestly, when I started making my own groups, this is probably the reason I got into tanking. 1, I started making my own groups, and then 2, I thought, well, if I tank them as well, like, the amount of Mythic Plus that I started doing just shot up exponentially. So that would be my advice. Boost your own key. You will start getting players who want to play with you now, and you get to decline them whether or not if they don't tickle your pickle. You're the boss. So what I would say is advertise on the Dungeon Finder if you haven't been able to do the other methods that I said earlier on, which are join communities, make people on your friends list, and then you'll be able to form groups accordingly to the playstyle that you foresee for the dungeon. So as I said in the other tip, know the dungeon, know your routes, know what utility you want to bring to it. So now you're the boss, you're going to form the group. If you make a good call, you're going to time the dungeon. If you don't, hey ho, it was experience. That is the best way to get into groups. Make your own. Okay guys, so tip number 10, we are finally there. We made it. It took much longer than I thought. I've been going like 15 minutes now, but tip number 10 is enjoy yourself. Yes, that's right. It wouldn't be a top 10 list if I didn't end on something relatively cheesy. However, I really mean that. If you are not enjoying yourself, then what the hell are you doing? If you are playing a class that you don't want to be playing because someone else has told you that it is good, don't do it. Don't listen to the tier lists. Find out what you want to play for your playstyle. What do you enjoy? Do that thing. All the tips that I've said earlier on, make friends, join communities, it's all about getting you into those groups with people that you're going to have fun with and play the game more. The more fun you have, the more you will play. The more you play, the more experience you will get. The more experience you get, the better player you will become, and therefore the happier you will become, and most of all, the better gear you will get. It's probably worth mentioning the gear changes when it comes to what is going to drop from Mythic Plus in Shadowlands. If you're used to doing the weekly Mythic level 15, that has now changed. It's pretty much a weekly 14, because 14 will give you the highest item level gear, which will be equivalent to raid gear. The first tier bosses, the end few bosses are slightly higher, but this is mythic level gear from a weekly 14. The big change comes from the end of dungeon reward. That has now changed, that it will only drop for one person, reducing that down to a 20% drop rate, and the item level that it drops at is a little bit less than heroic. So if you're looking to gear your character exclusively from Mythic Plus, it's probably going to take you quite a long time, because you are going to be relying on that weekly 14 week in, week out. So my advice is to get doing them straight from the get-go. If you need any help with your weekly chests, or you have any more questions that you want to ask me, feel free to come over twitch.tv/EliteBrewTV. I stream pretty much every day. Come chat to me. If there's anything that I've forgotten, anything you want to ask me, feel free to ask. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your kindness and hospitality. If you like the video, put a thumbs up, like it, subscribe, leave a comment. It really helps out the video. So I will see you on the next video. I'll be doing some more in-depth videos on the things I've mentioned in this video. This was more of an overview video. So again, thank you. As always, take chances, make mistakes. Brewfist. Peace. And bear in mind, guys, this is flawless gameplay, because if I get hit by shit, I'm dead.
Flawless, yeah. I mean, look at that pump while you're doing it too. It's insane.
Yeah.